Hi, this is James Garden, the Cinetech Geek, and I'm at the Tektronix stand again with
Mike Waitson from Tektronix.
And Mike has they've got a new product here. It's a new and up and coming product, and it's really designed for going into the new, the topics of the show, which is high dynamic range and IP workflows. So first of all, we'll talk about this product in terms of it's being re-envisioned, redeveloped to be applicable to the high dynamic range workflow
Right.
and post-production.
Right. So this is our new platform called Prism. And it's SDI inputs and IP inputs, and therefore we can deal with the bridging of the gap between the two technologies as we make the transition to IP. So in here, what we are doing today is looking at the video signal of a 2022-6, and then decoding that stream and giving you it as a picture display or as a waveform display so that you can visualize the signal levels of that stream. And in that particular piece, we have all of the SDI information, embedded audio, we have the video signals, and then we can use that information to apply to the waveform. So we can apply it to HDR because it uses the same bits from 0 to 3FF. We can use it for the YPBPR of the waveform, so you can see what the level of the signal is, and you can verify it with the picture display. But behind that are all the syntaxes that relate to decoding of the information that allows it to be transmitted as IP.
So you're talking all the metadata that's coming in is also discoverable and viewable on here?
Yes, so in these particular cases, because what we do is we wrap SDI into our IP packets,
right,
and then send those IP packets over the network, and then when they come back to us, we don't necessarily get all the packets at the right particular time.
Right,
so
okay.
we have to make sure we can decode those packets at the right times, and we don't miss a packet. And then what we can do in those particular cases is see how much of the pipe is filled with our video or our AES-67 audio or our PTP time, or maybe even other traffic.
So what you're saying here is you're not just analysing the video, you're analysing the IP pipe that's coming down.
Right, and so in the IP status display, we see this bar graph here, which gives us the 10G pipe. And so we know how much of the data is filled by the video or by the other parts of the packets in the stream. And then we can analyze what the source and destination address of that particular IP packet is. So in this case, we've got an HD stream being fed along with our PTP signal for timing. So these are all multiplexed together into our 10G pipe, and they just occupy, in this case, a small portion of that signal. So we can check to see what's happening. So if somebody does a file transfer, which is not data that we want to deal with, that would occupy some of the band within the IP area, and that might cause us not to get the packets in the right time.
This can discover that.
And this can discover this particular piece of the information, and we have a packet interval time measurement that is basically a histogram showing a banding of those particular pieces, so we can make sure that the packets arrive in suitable times and there aren't any outliers that would be lost or take a long time to be decoded.
That's really interesting, and I can see, so they're basically monitoring and testing the evolution into going to an IP packet infrastructure. But I found very interesting in terms of when we were talking about metadata. In high dynamic range, there's lots of metadata that can be potentially sent down the actual pipe with the content to help the displays figure out what to do and how to set up. Does this discover that so you can analyze that as well?
So we can look at and because it's packetized within the SDI stream, we can look at any of the AND data packets. At the moment, the standard for the AND state, the metadata for the Dolby Vision, BQ, SMPTE 2084 is still being ratified. So there are additional standards that are being worked on at the moment, like ST 2096, that allow that data to be carried as ANDs.
And would this product be able to test that data as well?
Yeah, so we'd be able to look at that data and analyze that data and see that it's an AND packet and it conforms to that particular piece.
Because this is one of the biggest issues that I hear a lot of people talking when I talk about this in panels, etc., is the understanding of the metadata.
Right.
And as such, we need more tools to actually portray the metadata in an understandable way. And that'll help the industry learn and also to facilitate and deal with those issues that metadata brings, because it's a new world in metadata and how we use displays. So let's talk about, so you've got another device underneath it, and as an IP infrastructure you need a PTP device. So
So PTP with the SPG 8000A provides you with all of the standard reference signals for Blackburst and SDI, but now adds the addition for IP precision time protocol. So this takes time from a GPS reference or a highly stable reference like a VITC or LTC time, and it takes that time information and embeds it as a packet in an IP stream. Then devices down from that particular transport can read that PTP information. So one of the things that the SPG 8000 can do is act as a grandmaster or as a slave. So as a grandmaster, it will take reference from GPS and output the PTP to all the devices downstream that need to use that as the reference. In the case of when we configured this other unit as a slave, it's taking in PTP, extracting that time information, and then producing references that are time related to that PTP time. So now we have a synchronization of our references downstream using the PTP precision time protocol to synchronize various devices within the IP network.
So for an example, because I like to put examples around your descriptions, you may have a facility in a certain state.
Right.
And that facility is talking to a large stadium where a football match is going on.
Right.
And so you're using your master here and there, it's talking to the slave, which is actually at the stadium.
Right.
And then at the stadium you're synchronizing all the cameras and everything there, which may be being fed back and actually being mixed because with IP you can do this.
Right.
You can actually put the OB-VAN mixing, etc. You can actually move it from an OB-VAN and actually more likely put it into a centralized location, like a central mixing house or whatever. And these tools allow that sort of functionality to actually happen.
Right, so what you could do in that case is if you have a link or a network that's sending the PTP across the network to the stadium,
that's right.
Then the other device at the other end of the stadium could be taking the PTP time and then using that for synchronization.
Yes.
And because you have a hybrid facility with many devices that still have analog references, you can use that for those devices, and then you can use PTP for maybe the cameras to be locked to. So we see that you'll need this hybrid kind of functionality.
This is a hybrid, there's been a lot of talk of PTP, but not a lot of talk of how it actually works in conjunction with the legacy equipment. So this is a very good solution for moving forward from the legacy to the future of IP, SDI over IP, and all that sort of things.
Right. So so we can provide both the analog references, the tri-level sync references, as well as PTP references. And PTP references come also in different flavors. So there's SMPTE 2059 for the video, so we can provide that as a reference on one domain, and then we can provide AES 67 for your audio devices on a different domain. So while they're coming from the same sources, they have two different domains, which effectively allow them to synchronize different types of devices within those domains.
Fantastic. So great overview of your new products this year. It's a big year for potentially upgrading products due to high dynamic range and all these new IP workflows.
Right.
Before we go, is there anything else you want to add or we've missed?
So we're just bridging the gap in these particular devices between your standard SDI and Blackburst reference signals to the new IP media SMPTE 2022 or SMPTE 2059. So we are bridging the gap between IP and SDI.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And sorry, what was your name again?
Mike Wadeson.
Mike Wadeson and James Gardner at NAB 2016. Bye for now.